This exotic bat with an overdeveloped face, first found in Kenya, could be the carrier of many bad things animal-wildlife officials fear. Its large head does not look like any bat ever seen before, and its eyes look very big as well. You don't get to see its teeth out, but I can only assume they are as massive as the rest of its cranium. To make matters worse, most of these strange bats start to appear throughout the area. No one knows where they came from, or what has caused them to have such mutated features. If this new species does carry some sort of strange disease, I really hope they are able to quarantine it and keep it from spreading to other parts of the world. Number 6. A man takes a picture stance and the camera person quickly backs away. Moments later, you get to see what they were so afraid of.
What the fuck?
An overhead tomahawk throw deeply embeds a pair of scissors into the exact place that she was just standing. Slowly, they realize just how close he came to sending his friend to the hospital. Look again and you can see that would have gotten her in the midsection if she hadn't moved away in time. If it goes that deep into solid wood, imagine how much deeper the scissors would have gone. Number 5. Michael and Durez is in a car full of friends when they hear a distant voice call out from the nearby woods. I didn't really hear much the first time I watched, but when they slow it down, you can clearly hear someone say something like, "Help me, guys." I think this could be paranormal, because it doesn't sound like a normal human voice at all. Theoretically speaking, a person screaming at a speeding car with the windows rolled up would almost certainly not be heard by anybody inside. Number 4. This video was taken years ago when Justin Bieber had to go to court. Wearing an orange jumpsuit, he looks straight at the camera with a very serious expression, and his eyes change into creepy off-white color. He blinks again and then quickly looks away. A YouTuber named RyGuyVA captured this video, and as you can see at the end, he is recording a live broadcast on his flat-screen TV. This means this is either an error with the news equipment, or else something we will never be able to properly explain. Number 3.
Stop scrolling, because if you like paranormal, you're going to want to see this. And it is semi-disturbing, but I just need to know, is this real or is this the ultimate hoax? Do you believe in mermaids? Because supposedly one just washed up on the beaches of Kenya. I'm going to show you a video in a minute, but my mind is blown. Tell me in the comments what you think, and I'm going to show you the video. Trigger warning, it's fucking crazy. It's grunting.
The Paranormal Chick here. Take a look at this video that was captured around August 12th, 2023 in Kenya. The witness was actually able to capture 2 videos of this truly unexplainable object. Is this a UFO? It's definitely not a drone nor a plane. But what exactly did he record? Take a look and tell me what you think.
This beautiful house here has never been occupied for the last 30 years, since the locals believe that it is infested by evil spirits. It is located in a place called Ruiru, 30 kilometers from the city of Nairobi. What makes the house more creepy is the design that looks similar to Freemason owl. Locals claim that at night, voices would be heard from the house. And if you had courage to live there, you had to prepare for unseen forces. Others even claim that there was a lady who moved to live in the house with her family. She didn't have information that every man who lived in that house died and the wife becomes a widow. There was also another tenant who happened to move in with his family, and that by the time they moved things upstairs, they found that the other things that they had taken up were already arranged, and they ignored because they were tired. At night, windows started opening and banging heavily from invisible forces. Early the next morning, they left without asking for the refund of their paid rent. An Indian businessman also rented the house and burnt incense inside the house to appease the spirits. 6 months later, the locals saw him running out of the compound and was never seen again. The question is the house really haunted, or are these just stories created by the locals?
Kuna UFO inapita. Hebu songa hivi. Nipate after hii miti. Atapiga U-turn tu hapo mbele. Wadau UFO inashuka manze. Hiyo si ni UFO. Wallahi
wataleta siasa wangekaa tu pale.
In the late 1980s, in the city of Mombasa, Kenya, something truly terrifying occurred. It was nighttime, and I was driving back home all alone when I noticed a beautiful young lady standing by the roadside. She asked for a lift, but I couldn't understand why she was out there in the middle of nowhere by herself. Despite my confusion, I decided to stop and give her a lift. She said she needed to go home and that she couldn't find anyone late at this time, so I agreed to take her back to her place. As we drove, I realized we were heading to an unfamiliar and isolated area. It was a deserted road with nothing but darkness and emptiness all around. We drove for about 45 minutes to an hour away from the city. I became curious and asked her when we would reach at her place, but she assured me it was nearby. We had a long talk while driving, and she seemed fairly like a normal person. Eventually, we arrived, and I saw her house was in terrible shape. It looked old and abandoned, with nothing nearby, just trees and overgrown grass. I asked her, "Do you live here?" She replied, "Yes, I have lived here for the past 60 years," even though she looked much younger. When she got out of the car, she invited me to stay the night since it was already late. As I was already feeling tired, I accepted her offer without any hesitation and entered the house. I fell asleep within minutes after laying down on the bed, but when I woke up the next day, I was terrified by what I saw. I found myself in a cemetery, sleeping between two graveyards. Panic surged through me, and I fled from that place as quickly as I could and drove back home. It took me a month to return to my normal life after this incident, though the experience still haunts me to this day, and I've never stayed out late at night since then.
The equatorial sun dips low on the Kenyan horizon, casting long, spectral shadows among the stone ruins of an ancient city. This is Getty, a silent and deserted testament to a civilization that has long since passed into the annals of time. Our journey takes us into the labyrinthine alleys, once bustling with the life and chatter of Swahili culture. Now, only the whispering wind moves through the abandoned structures, carrying with it a chilling echo of laughter that once filled these streets. As we venture deeper, are you starting to feel the shivers of unease? Can you hear the whispers of the past? Drop a comment below and let us know. In the heart of the city, under the skeletal remains of what was once a grand palace, reports tell of spectral sightings. Phantom figures, their forms vague and blurred by the ravages of time, seem to stand guard over their long-forgotten home. The air is dense with unseen energy, as though the very spirits of the past still linger, locked in an eternal dance with the ruins. The myths of the locals tell tales of the jinn, supernatural beings born of smokeless fire, acting as the ethereal sentinels of this abandoned city. And then there's the laughter, a disembodied sound that seems to hang in the still air. A joyous echo from an era long past, yet it brings an unsettling feeling of being watched, of intruding on a space where ancient specters continue their ageless existence. As we draw our exploration to a close, under the vast, starlit African sky, one cannot help but feel a profound sense of connection with the spectral denizens of Getty. The chilling whispers, ghostly figures, and inexplicable laughter serve as a reminder that, in some places, the past refuses to be forgotten. As the haunting image of Getty ruins fades from your screen, tell us, would you dare to visit this ancient, spectral city after dark? Could you brave the whispers of the past and the laughter of unseen specters? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling explorations into the world's most haunted places.
There once lived a little boy called Kofi. He was as mischievous as he was curious. Kofi often pushed the boundaries set by his parents. Parents would gather their little ones around the fire recounting the story of the Washaka. It spoke of a mysterious creature, a fearsome being from the depths of hell that prowled in the darkness, seeking out disobedient children. The tale was passed down through generations, a cautionary reminder of the importance of obedience and respect. Unbeknownst to Kofi, his disobedient ways had caught the attention of the Washaka. The creature watched from the shadows, its presence concealed by the darkness. Late one night, as Kofi snuck out of his home, the creature materialized before him, its eyes burning like embers in the night. Kofi froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The Washaka spoke with a voice that resonated through the night. It recounted the tales of disobedient children who had crossed its path, only to face dire consequences for their actions. With each word, Kofi's fear transformed into remorse. He saw the pain and disappointment his own actions had caused his parents. The Washaka vanished into the night, leaving behind a sense of responsibility and a newfound understanding of the importance of obedience. From that day forward, Kofi became a changed boy. He listened and followed attentively to his parents' guidance and wisdom.
Please listen to me when I say that today's case is a current investigation and it is disturbing and ongoing. So if you don't want to listen to something that might distress you, please just skip this. It's okay. 2 weeks ago, a horrific discovery was made in the Shakola forest in Kenya. There was a mass grave filled with 90 corpses, the majority of which were children. There were so many bodies that the police had to stagger the search for them, as the local morgues were just getting overcrowded and full. And so the authorities had to reach out to the Kenya Red Cross for refrigerated containers to store the bodies as they waited in line for an autopsy. The grim discovery, understandably, has totally shocked Kenya, but things got worse when they learned why this mass grave occurred. The dead, wrapped in cotton shrouds, had belonged to a strange cult in Kenya, which cult leader Paul Mackenzie Nathenge led. He had taught his followers that the only way to meet with God truly was by starving oneself to death. Now, this sort of twisted teaching is even more shocking when investigators have subsequently learned that Nathenge and his fellow leaders were eating and drinking as normal, urging their followers to fast until they died of hunger, while the leaders ate on. These kids were starved, often at the urging of their own parents, who had become convinced that it was the only way for them to escape the turmoil of this world and to meet with their Creator. This cult, by the way, is called Good News International Church. It's a kind of pseudo-Christian cult, and it had a sickening hierarchy to this. They taught that the children had to starve themselves to death first, then the women, and then finally the men would follow. Hence why over half of the bodies were children and most of the rest were women. And so 34 members of this cult were found alive in the forest, which is near the coastal town of Malindi. Some of them were just hiding in the bushes and were close to death after following the teachings of their leader. Now, the president of Kenya, a guy called William Ruto, vowed to crack down on these rogue and dangerous cults. And like I say, people are just traumatized and horrified. Now, the leader, this Paul Mackenzie Nathenge, was a former taxi driver who then became a televangelist and founded this cult in 2003. Now, he had already been arrested back in 2017 for urging parents not to send their children to school because he believed that education was unbiblical. And he was arrested again last month after 2 children starved themselves to death while being looked after by their cult member parents. Now, this happened 2 weeks ago, like I said, but since then, new details have emerged because investigators have uncovered more to this case. Firstly, the death rate has rose since then. Now it's 133, and they're expecting that figure to rise again. But the autopsies on all those bodies, so not all of them, but a lot of them I think, have been completed, and they've revealed something. Starvation does appear to be the leading cause of death, but some of the victims, including the children, were murdered and beaten, strangled and suffocated. What's more, the autopsy revealed that the children had missing organs, which means that this cult was harvesting the children's organs to sell. Believe it or not, the human body organ trade does actually exist. Sometimes they're sold for religious purposes with claims that body parts, particularly of children, can have magical or healing properties. As for this cult leader behind all of this, Paul Nathenge, well, he was granted bail last Thursday. However, prosecutors are pleading for him to be held in custody until the investigation is complete. I'll watch this story and keep an eye on it and let you know of any significant updates, but I just thought it was remarkable enough and sad enough to bring to your attention that these things happen. Well, if you want more spooky, strange, and, I guess disturbing stories like this, you can follow me on TikTok or check out my Scary True Stories show, Frightful. It's a podcast. It's available all over the place for free. I've just finished an episode all about imaginary friends, and that explores the paranormal and supernatural elements of that. Or if you're into reading, then you can maybe check out some of my books on Amazon. Just search Peter Laws. Thanks.
Amka mama, amka. Ambia aende nje.